ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Now, we spent a long time yesterday talking about how Brahman is not in the sense of knower, when the word jnanam doesn't make Brahman into a knower, jnanakarta, or the object of knowledge, jnana karma, or the instrument of knowledge, jnana karana. That took a long time to establish, and fortunately or unfortunately, we are not done with it yet. Okay, we will revisit that soon because of the famous what is the fellow called Purva Pakshi. The objector does not understand this, and so we will be revisiting it shortly. You are duly forewarned. Okay, yeah. So just to the thing is to this particular section is extremely involved, and as you know, as you can yourself see, we hardly get through 2 or 3 lines in one session, in one sitting. But that will speed up once we have finished this particular section, or until sarvan kaman samashnute guha nihitam guhayam, etc., etc. After that, when we start into that portion of the Upanishad, tasmad va etasmad atmana akashas sambhutah आकाशाद् वायुः वायोरग्निः अग्नेरापः अद्यः पृथिवी पृथिव्या ओषधयः ओषधीभ्योऽन्नम् अन्नात् पुरुषः स वा एष पुरुषोन्नरसमयः. So this will finish as long as it took to chant it. No, a little bit of an exaggeration, but it will go quickly because it's talking about the 5 elements. It's talking about the Tatastha Lakshana of Brahman. This is something which is very interesting because even in the Chandogya and all the Upanishads, when we talk about Swarupa Lakshana, then it is always little difficult. Because, how to talk about Swarupa? Can the Swarupa be seen? No. Can the Swarupa, is the Swarupa an object of the sound? No. Can the Swarupa be felt? No. In fact, it is not available to any means of knowledge that one has. Oh, but what about Shabda Pramana? Well, I'll ask you the same question. What about Shabda Pramana? How are we doing there? Because Shabda Pramana, yes, it is there. And yes, teachers are there. And yes, it is being unfolded. But how much, do you, if you, okay, here's the question for you. If you compare something to to the backing that you give your own eyes when you see something, do you give the Shabda Pramana the same backing? The answer is almost always no. Unless one has like a overload of Shraddha, unless one is ODing on Shraddha, the answer always is no. Because this pramana supposedly comes from outside of me, and the other pramanas are within me, and I am the operator. So therefore, the Shabda Pramana, it requires so much Shraddha. And Shraddha, as you know, is a work in progress. Right now, one thinks I have so much Shraddha, and then 6 months later, if I ask you the question, you will say, I don't know what I said that 6 months ago. Now I really have Shraddha. Shraddha means devotion, reverence. Not to the Guru so much. That's not where the Shraddha is. That Guru is not a human being or a person here, or a personality. But the Guru is that which unfolds the knowledge. That's where the Shraddha is, in the unfoldment of the knowledge. That is why the Shraddha makes such a big difference. And so this is still the beginnings of the Upanishad. And of course, the Purva Pakshi, the one who is raising objections, has zero Shraddha. And why do we have Purva Pakshis with zero Shraddha? So that we can all feel better about ourselves. We can say, look at that idiot. What kind of questions is this fellow asking? I am so much better off. I wouldn't even have thought of this question. I have so much more Shraddha than this one. And then so the Shruti wants you to, Adi Shankara, in explaining the Shruti, wants you to get a little boost. And with that view, these Purva Pakshas are presented. And here also, in the analysis of the word Satyam, we had two Purva Pakshas, two or maybe two and a half, almost bordering on three. And then here also we will have a couple of Purva Pakshas. At which time the question of whether the question of negating kartritvam, jnana kartritvam for Brahman will have to be revisited. So if you found that if you found that topic not a favorite topic, this, you are duly forewarned to quickly start to like that, because that's an important topic. Okay, so with these words, let us go on where we were yesterday. Go on from there. So let us look at the Bhashya just to familiarize ourselves. What happened to the Bhashya? I thought I had it, but one can think many things. Okay, let me open it now. Brahmanandavalli Bhashya. Okay, here we are. So here, where was we? Let's see. Yeah. Jnanam Brahma, Jnanam Jnaptihi Avabodhah Bhavasadhanah Jnana Shabdah Natu Jnana Kartru. This part we have seen very well. Natu Jnana Kartru. It is not an agent of knowledge. Just like when you produce some knowledge in the form of a book, in the form of a speech, in the form of a essay, thesis, article, then you say, I know this and I am presenting this to the public, then you become Jnana Karta. So Brahman is not the Jnana Karta, because if Brahman is the Jnana Karta, then the karma, if the Brahman is the agent, that means the first karaka, the karma is varjita, then who is the karma? Then something other than Brahman we have to find. What is the karma? Karma means Jagat. What is the Jagat? If Brahman is the agent, then karma is the Jagat. The object, whatever Brahman has produced, so to speak, produced again within apostrophes, then that becomes the Jagat. If Jagat is the karma and if Jagat is other than Brahman, then we are into a dualistic philosophy. Advaita hanihi. Advaita goes to the dogs. Okay, and so therefore it's ripped apart. It's not there at all. Advaita is missing in action, because we are that's why it was pointed out that the jnana shabda is satya anantabhyam saha prayujyate. It is used along with the words satyam and anantam. Satya anantabhyam saha brahma visheshanatvat. So this much we saw. Now let us go back to this question of jnaptihi, avabodhaha, bhava sadhanaha. This also we have touched upon a little bit. But then when we started to get into that topic, I thought it's better to finish that topic because it could get confusing. So now we will revisit this avabodhaha, jnaptihi, bhava sadhanaha. So bhava sadhana, sadhana means here it is not sadhana as in sadhana sadhya like that. Sadhana here doesn't mean means. Generally, when we use the word sadhana, it's like means, practice of something or the other. Practice, spiritual practice, sadhana, or even you go to the gym to do sadhana, all this is there. And so here it is not that kind of sadhana. Bhava sadhana means it's a compound, bahuvrihi compound. We'll come to that shortly. Bhava sadhana means it is sadhana here means pratyaya. Pratyaya is not suffix as we say in Sanskrit. Trich pratyaya, lyut pratyaya. No. Pratyaya here means pratiti, recognition, cognition. Bhave sadhanam yasya saha jnana shabdaha. This is how it should be understood. Bhave sadhanam yasya saha. So that in which the cognition, that which needs to be recognized in the abstract sense, bhava. In the abstract sense, because we do have in Sanskrit bhave prayoga, badly translated often in English as what is that called? Impersonal voice or something like that. So there's nothing impersonal about it. It's a very interesting way of talking about things. It's just very beautiful. Actually, when we study it, it's wonderful. So, I mean, really, there is no translation because any translation it will get lost. So we just try to understand what this bhava is. It's an abstract way of looking at the word jnanam. Because this lyut pratyaya, we saw this suffix called lyut. It is that janati. So jnanam, kartari, it can be used in the sense of, active voice. Karmani, it could be used in the sense of passive voice. So jnanam, it could be also used in the sense of bhave prayoga, bhave lyut. So the other two meanings of lyut, pratyaya, lyut here means anam, we saw that yesterday. So the other two meanings are negated by the discussion that Brahman cannot be an agent of knowledge, and neither is Brahman the object of knowledge, neither is nor is Brahman the whatever is in between the knower and the knowledge, the vritti jnanam, or the means of knowledge. All three are negated because we have used the lyut pratyaya, anam, this anam, in the abstract sense. So we have a neuter noun, what is that? Jnanam. And then he uses a feminine noun to understand it, jnaptihi, in the sense of knowing. Knowing. And so jnana, so therefore, this is how the word jnanam should be understood. This is how it should be understood. Why? Because in any, like I pointed out yesterday, we are not, even though it looks like a hair splitting analysis, it is not for the sake of splitting hairs that we are sitting and doing this kind of a mimamsa. As the word mimamsa suggests, it is all about me. So it is all about me. And so therefore it has to end, this kind of an analysis of the word satyam jnanam anantam have to end in a crystal clear knowledge of what Brahman is, because that Brahman, if it is non-dual, has to be myself. And if it is, if it is non-dual, has to be limitless. And if it is described as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, limitless, the only thing that is existent, and it is sentient, that means it is the only source of happiness that there is. That is the connection we have to never ever lose and get lost in the while enjoying this analysis. We shouldn't get lost in the analysis and lose the reason why this study has been commenced. The study has not been commenced to show off one's Sanskrit prowess. I know Lyut and I know Janami, I know Jnanam, I know Jneyam. I know, what is that? The Karana of Jnanam. I know all the Karakas. It's not to show off your Sanskritam. It is not to show off your verbiage. And that's all garbage. That's why verbiage and garbage rhyme. And then, it is not to show off your analytical skills. Oh, I know how to do this. I know how to do that. I know what Shankara is going to say. I have studied this. I have done this. I'm here. I'm there. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. Each time you say, I know, you're being the Jnana Karta, okay? Watch it. So therefore, so this is not for those purposes that for which we are undertaking this kind of an analysis at all. We are undertaking this analysis in order to discover oneself as the truth of everything. And in this discovery of oneself as limitless, then only the happiness is possible. Otherwise, what happiness? Where is it, this is why we have to understand this with great clarity, and and that clarity, usually what does it involve? It involves dismissing other possibilities of interpreting the sentence in a way that the Shastra does not permit. And not only the Shastra does not permit, even this, Adi Shankara does not permit. And who is Adi Shankara? Adi Shankara represents the lineage. The lineage does not permit this. And the lineage is everything, because Shankara is our only link to the lineage. And if the lineage does not interpret it that way, then then we are in trouble. If we are having our own interpretation, then we are naturally cutting ourselves off from the lineage. Oh, what is wrong with that? Let us cut ourselves off from the lineage, and let us start our own lineage. Pujya Swamiji always used to say that it is better to be a sampradaya with than a sampradaya krit. Sampradaya krit means the initiator of a lineage. And some people have the pressure to do that. I want to come up with my own thing, and I have to have my own rules, and I have to go my own way. Everybody is singing one song, but I'm going to sing another song with with a different dissonant note. Why? Because I want to stand out. And this is called sampradaya krit. Okay, nothing wrong, but many times, it is not necessary. And then, in contrast to the sampradaya krit, here there is something called sampradaya vit, the one who knows sampradaya. That is somebody who is extremely respected in the tradition. Very, 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 very respected. Why? Because the one who has understood the sampradaya, that is the person one has to be. And then once you understand the sampradaya, then if there is any need or something like that, you can have your own sampradaya, no problem. If there is anything missing or whatever it is. But the sampradaya is big. There is room for everything. There is room for innovations. There is room for creativity. Most of the time there is. And if one feels constricted by the lineage or the concept of the lineage, one feels like, oh, I have outgrown it, or there is no space for me, then it is more likely that there is some block within that needs to be addressed. Perhaps a sense of non-belonging bubbling up from the past, perhaps some pressure to stand out due to some authority issues. Who knows what it is? In Sampradaya, there is no authority figure, so to speak. We just bow down to the gurus, all the gurus who have kept the fire of this lineage lit, so that we can see the way. All the firebrand gurus, the gurus themselves are the firebrands, and they light up the path for us. And that is exactly what that is exactly who Adi Shankara bows down to in the beginning of the writing this commentary for this particular Upanishad. यैरिमे गुरुभिः पूर्वं पदवाक्यप्रमाणतः व्याख्याता सर्ववेदान्ताः तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्. तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्. I remain saluting those gurus by whom everything was explained in connection to the lineage, line by line, word by word. The words of Vedanta were elucidated. And so therefore, this is what is called Sampradayavit. And Pujya Swamiji always respected Adi Shankara for being a Sampradayavit. This is something which is, he was also a Sampradaya Krit, but then his legacy really stands out as Sampradayavit. And so here, so Jnaptihi Avabodhaha. And then there can be a small unsaid Purva Paksha here, which is important to think about. Unsaid objection. What is the objection? This is a objection that could come up from some set of people called karmathas. Karmathas means the people who think that the whole purpose of the Veda is for karma. All the Vedic words ask you to keep doing something. Jump, sit, eat, do yajna, pray, go here, go there, go to the pilgrimage. This is what this is the business of the Veda, is to make is to make the jiva into a pet monkey. That the person, when I was a child, the person used to come around on every street with the pet monkey. And then he would have a little drum, like the kind that Lord Shiva carries, this damaru. And then he would say, come, he call all the children, and all of us would come down and then just watch this fellow in action. And the monkey would, sometimes there would be two monkeys, sometimes there would be one, sometimes there would be one girl monkey and one boy monkey appropriately dressed with, with a frock and a bow on its head, and the other one would be wearing suspenders. And then they would do some tricks. He would say, do this, he would do that. Poor monkeys. And so the first portion of the Veda is not up to any kind of a monkey business. It's not trying to, that is what the person has to be told, because sometimes the people don't fully graduate. There is a kind of a failure to launch from the first portion of the Veda to the second portion of the Veda. They kind of get stuck in the middle, like Trishanku, kind of attracted that side and kind of attracted this side, and not knowing where to go, somehow frozen like deer in the headlights. And so this particular kind of an objection could come from such a person. And what is that? And what is that objection? Very, very interesting. It's not listed here, but it could come. And what is that? You can keep on, what should I say, putting lipstick over the Gnya Dhatu. You can say, Bhava sadhana. You don't try to mesmerize me in your verbiage. You're accusing me of verbiage, but what about you? You yourself have all these new words you're throwing at me. Verbal garbage is verbiage. And so you're giving me all this. You're giving me, you gave me so many new words. You said dhatvartha, then bhava sadhana, avabodha rupaha, and then jnaptihi. You've thrown four words at me. But my dear fellow, what can I tell you? These are just words. They are not doing anything for me. Come, let me take you back to the construction of the Sanskrit language, because I think you have forgotten how the Sanskrit language is constructed. Oh, what do you mean I have forgotten? Well, what is the basis of the Sanskrit language? The basis of the Sanskrit language is 2200 root verbs called dhatus. Let's not forget that. You may forget that. I haven't forgotten that. And we are both speaking Sanskrit in this Bhashya. So let us just see that we come from that same source. And so what? So what means what? This is a huge thing. Do you agree that it is from the same source that we are, we are, what is that? We are all talking about the exact same thing. 2200 root verbs. Okay? Yeah. So what? And do you also agree that out of the same root verb, we make noun, we make adjectives, we make secondary nouns, primary nouns, called krit, and all these krit usage, and then secondary nouns, and then like called tadhita. So we have nouns, and then nouns are you use one noun to make another noun. So we have all these kinds of things. And so now what? Now you are in hot water if you have agreed with me. Why? Because after all, the the crux of the Sanskritam language is verbs. Dhatu means verb. And what is verb? Action. Action. So, dhatu means there is action everywhere. Definitely, you may call it bhava sadhana, you may call it, whatever you want. You may call it jnapti swarupa, you may call it lakshana, you may call it avabodha. You may make another this thing, and then you may call it all these things. You can put lipstick on the word jnanam, no problem. You can do that, but at the end of the day, what is there? You are stuck with a verb. Dhatu means verb. And if there is dhatu, then it is asking you to do something. This is the argument, okay? If there is dhatu, then it is asking you to do something. Definitely it's asking you to do something. Kriya paratvam asti. Dhatu chet, kriya paratvam asti. If dhatu is there, then there is there is some commitment for activity. There is definitely some commitment for activity. You can, you till you are blue in the face, you can deny that. And you can keep on talking about how jnata, jnanam, jnayam, and how it is Brahman is not an agent of knowledge, and how this word knowledge doesn't make Brahman into an agent, nor the object of knowledge, nor the means of knowledge, Save your breath. Save your breath. Why? Because after all is said and done, Dhatu means verb. And if there is dhatvartha means there is an expectation of kriya. This kriya apeksha is there. Apeksha means expectation of kriya. So that dhatvartha means root meaning. So root verb means what? Action. All the roots are just end in action. And so there's a huge argument on the basis of a particular brand of philosophy called Purva Mimamsaka. Purva means Purva Bhaga. The first portion of this Veda. They are the philosophers who refuse to graduate, who say that everything that the Upanishad says, not Upanishad, Veda says, is meant to make you jump like the monkey. So the person, doing the drum and then having a little hoop and playing this drum, this hand drum, is the first portion, is the Veda as a whole. And when the Veda tells you to do something, you say, how high should I jump? You don't question it because you should have Shraddha. Purva Mimamsaka has lot of Shraddha. And because of the Shraddha, the Purva Mimamsaka, the analyzer of the first portion of the Veda, who refuses to understand that there is a world outside of doing. And that is called the world of being. And so, when you say Brahman is Jnanam, you're not talking of a knowing Brahman as the knower or the object of knowledge or the means of knowledge. You're talking of, just like how you talk of the shining sun. When you say the sun is shining, the shining is not an act, is it now? The shining cannot be an act. Similarly, here, the knowing is not an act. Save your breath, the fellow says. Why? Because I have my own set of beliefs. And look, the Veda is doesn't have, we have to have Shraddha in the Veda. You yourself have to agree with that statement. So the Veda does not have any wastage of words. And the Veda is telling you to do something, number two. And whatever the Veda tells you to do, you must do because it wants only hitam for you. Hitam means it wants something, everything comforting for you. It doesn't want to, it doesn't want to cause you harm. So your hitam is in what? Doing, 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 doing. फिर उसके बाद more doing, 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 doing. Doing till you drop. And then what? Next life. Doing, 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 doing. To start off life, doing. And the baby cries, doing. Crying is a verb, according to this person. So the baby cries, and then, doing, then it throws a tantrum. Then at 3 months, it learns to smile, doing, 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 doing. You're already a doer, and the Veda just basically makes that doing into, streamlines that doing so that you are a dharmic doer. So much so that one of the sutras, just like we have Brahma Sutras, there are also Purva Mimamsaka Sutras written by Jaimini. Who is Jaimini? Student of Vyasa. Yeah, Purva Mimamsaka Sutra by Jaimini and student of Vyasa. And then, of course, the teacher wrote the Brahma Sutras and he went back and wrote the Purva Mimamsaka Sutras. I mean, think of how erudite. Amazing. He was able to, being a student of Vyasa, he was able to go into the shoes of the Purva Mimamsaka and think exactly like that and write those sutras, analyze the sutras from the standpoint of the Purva Mimamsaka. Very, very wonderful. And so there, one of the sutras is this, what is that? Amnayasya kriyarthatvat anarthakyam atadarthanam. Amnayasya, amna means, amnaya means this Veda. Veda, another name is amnaya, coming from the root verb mna. that which is heard, that which is received. So, amnayasya, so for the Veda, kriyarthatvat, amnayasya kriyarthatvam asti, according to this according to him. What is kriyarthatvam? The artha, the purpose, is only in action for the amnaya. Amnaya doesn't mean first portion of the Veda, mind you, it means the entirety of the Veda. According to him, the Veda has its purport and has its goal in do making you do something or the other, when all the time. How long? Life after life after life. So amnayasya kriyaparatvam asti, kriyarthatvam asti. So for this amnaya, for the Veda, it has a commitment to to make you do. Amnayasya kriyarthatvat, because of that, anarthakyam. Anarthakyam means what? It is of no use. What is of no use? Atadarthanam anarthakyam. Atadarthanam means not tadartha. Meaning, it is not the meaning. If the meaning of something in the Veda has nothing to do with action, then that is should be disregarded. 100 pages of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, according to him, should be disregarded if it doesn't ask you to do something. And then, 25 pages of Taittiriya Upanishad should be disregarded if it doesn't ask you to do anything. This and another 50 pages of Chandogya Upanishad should be disregarded because it's not asking you to, as long as it doesn't ask you to jump, eat, drink, follow dharma, satyam vada, dharmanchara. And so the pressure on these poor fellows called Purva Mimamsakas is intense, because they have to keep on finding what is there the Veda is telling you to do. Even when it's not telling you to do anything, even if it's telling you to just sit and listen, listen. Okay, listen is a verb. And so it's asking you to listen. Why would it ask you to listen? In order to do something, of course. And so, like this, they tie themselves into knots. And so here, this is so amnayasya kriyarthatvat atadarthanam anarthakyam atadarthanam. And in this context, they give an example of this atadartha, anarthakyam. So anarthakyam is this uselessness. There is a what is that? There are certain phrases in the Veda. Saptadvipa Vasundhara. The Vasundhara, the earth has 7 continents, 7 bodies of land. So, well, this is not asking you to do something. It must be useless. It must be considered totally useless. If it is not asking you to do something, it has no other meaning fits according to them. And since the Veda cannot be useless, that means we have to find out what this means. And then, of course, Saptadvipa Vasundhara is not a useless statement. Why? Because it has a meaning, because it is talked about in, Kalasha Puja, etc. We use that. So it has certain context and meaning. And then another example, Agnihi Arodit. Lord Fire, Agni Devata, the Fire Lord, cried. Why did he cry? Well, this seems like a useless statement. Agni cried, so what, And see, when the human beings cry, when the mortals cry, then saline solution is shed. Correct? Salt water is shed when mortals cry. But Agni is a Devata, so it has to be something special. So Agni cried tears of molten silver. Now, what has that got to do with me? Why am I interested in Agni's psychological life, and whether he cried or how long he cried, or he shed, what is that called, molten silver tears? And so they find out, they go deep into this, and then they give this example. Therefore, what? Tasmat barhishi, barhishi means in when you do a yajna, When you do a yajna, do not give silver. Rajatam madeyam. So this Rajat, silver should not be given. That means what? To the priests and the people, who have come, if you want to give some gift, don't give silver. Okay? Yeah. So all those who attended the yajna, don't worry, there will be no silver in the prasada that is being sent out. Okay. So then so why should silver not be given? Because Agni cried tears of silver. So if you and Agni is the main hero of any homa, any yajna. And so, therefore, what? If Agni is the hero of every homa, and then he is the main fellow, and he is crying tears of silver, if you give silver as gifts or as payment dakshina to the priests, etc., you will have reason to cry within 1 year. Both the giver and the receiver, I suppose, will have reason to cry within 1 year. Something bad will happen. So therefore, you see, it is not, it is arthavat. So the Agni cried is not useless. It is the anga of something. It is connected to something else. So this don't give silver, if the Veda were just to say don't give silver, maybe nobody, maybe somebody won't believe it or somebody won't follow it. But if it's put in this wonderful moving story of how Agni cried molten tears of molten silver, then it will touch your heart, and then the moral of the story will be very easily understood. This is what is talked about. This is the just to give you a little taste of Purva Mimamsaka. So then how do they view the Upanishads? They view the Upanishads in the same way. It's the anga, it is a certain part of what you need to be doing. Atmava are shrotavya. Okay, just listen to it a little bit and then come back and do all the things that are to be done. And then mantavya. Okay, think about it a little bit, meditate on it, introspect on it, and then come back and do your rituals and all the things you have to do. This is how they interpret it. And then so they don't believe in renunciation, because even though there are many things talking about renunciation, they just say, well, that's just an option, it is not a must. So they talk themselves out of it, they talk themselves, and moksha means, for them, moksha is something you just spontaneously get out of Bhagavat, as a form of Bhagavat prasada, as a form of, some spontaneous prasada from Bhagavan. And then most of the time it involves dying, not being in this body and going to heaven and other lokas, etc., some kind of a thing. This is the, so that therefore here there could be a kind of a confusion based on this orientation. So you are negating the doer, but then you are putting a ship in front of it. What ship? Doer ship. You just put a ship in front of it. That doesn't mean you're just sort of hiding. You're just hiding here. You say do worship, do awareness, knowingness, no worship. All this, if you just put a ship there, it doesn't knock away any activity. And then what is there? Jnata, jnanam, jnaya, bheda. The differences are always there. And so therefore, it says, therefore the Bhashya here, in order to overcome this kind of a contention from the standpoint of these purva pakshis, etc., says an important thing. Two things it says, that this is brahma visheshanatvat satya anantabhyam saha. We have to tell the Purva Mimamsaka, please look at where this word jnanam is being used. Jnanam is being used, it is sandwiched in between the two slices of bread, one called Satyam, one called Anantam. And then here, we were very patient. When you recited the story, what story did you recite? Of how Agni cried. We waited till the suspense, we waited till the punchline, we waited to find out what was the connection between Agni's tears and the context of this particular, rule of how not to give, what is that called, silver articles at the time of Yajna. We waited nicely, and we said, okay, we are not going to dismiss it, and we are going to give you full, we give you both our ears and lend you our ears. And we listened so nicely. Now you also owe us to be equally good and listen when we say that you have no right to take this out of context. Absolutely no right to take this out of context. The word jnanam is not hanging somewhere, untethered like a kite that has been cut and is drifting along by itself. The word jnanam is firmly, meaningfully, purposefully, by the same Veda that you revere, is put in between Satyam and Anantam to give it a particular meaning. And and to negate any kind of limitations for this jnanam. We are not interested in jnanakarta. We are not interested in translating the word knowledge as the knower. We are not interested in just that negation. And we are only committed to negating any division for jnanam. So we are not trying to make it into a knower, Brahman into a knower. That's no, or we are not even trying to negate, the Brahman as an agent of knowledge. That's only part of our unfoldment. We are, in fact, wanting to negate any kind of division in this Brahman, either as the knower, or as the object of knowledge, or as the means of knowledge, or as the location of knowledge. That's also important. Or as to whom the knowledge belongs, sixth case, genitive case, locative case, or Brahman from where the knowledge dropped, fifth case. All of them we negate. And so we are not really interested in either establishing Brahman as the knower or just negating the Brahman as an agent of knowledge. We are interested in showing, and the Upanishad here is interested in showing that Brahman is divisionless, limitless, and that the word jnanam clinches it because Brahman is sentient. Those are fireworks which you hear in the background. So I don't know why. I don't know what. Oh, Easter. Okay, yes, it is Easter. So this is Easter celebration that you are hearing in India. Just enjoy. So then, so we are not interested in trying to make Brahman into a knower, or trying to argue with you and to negate Brahman as the knower. We are trying to show that it is divisionless. Why? Because it is along with the words Satya and Ananta. So therefore, all three of them it transcends. It is neither seer nor seen, nor the act of seeing or the means of seeing, because it is all of them without there being any one of them. That's why, that's why we have to see it as Lakshana. And we have to see that in the process of this negation, we are actually seeing what is already there. This is a typical Upanishad pedagogical operation. And, it is Anvaya Vyatireka, it is called. Anvaya Vyatireka. So when A is there, B is there. B goes, but what is there? A is still there. So that is actually what we are trying to establish. Jnata gone. Jnata means knower. Knower gone. Then the object of knowledge, known, jnaya, jnayam, gone. Then the means of knowledge, and also called jnanam, pramanam, gone. What is left? If you say shunya, nothing is left, that means you are negating yourself. you know, you are negating yourself. Asanne vasabhavati. This very Upanishad is going to talk about this later. Asad brahmeti vedachet. The one who says nothing is left. There is no Brahman. What Brahman? I mean, Brahman is, he should be either knower. If it is Jnanam, it should be sentient, means it is what kind of sentiency do I understand? I understand the knower, known, and means of knowledge. This is what knowledge means. And you say it's not the knower. Okay, all right, somehow I wrap my brain around it not being the knower. Then you said it's not the known. Acha, theek hai, it's neither the knower nor the known. Somehow I came around to understanding this. And then you say it's not even the means of knowledge. Okay, I can conceptualize that, perhaps at least on an abstract level. I say I can believe you, I can give you the benefit of doubt. And as though this was not enough, now you are saying what is left behind. Nothing is left behind. This is all what knowledge means. Knowledge is knower, known, means of knowledge. And if you take away, if you poor thing, if you take the word jnanam, and it's just like if you take it to a ghat. Ghat means a place where washing is done on the river bank. And so if you look in the Rishikesh ashram, there are certain ghats that go to the river. And all the people living there come with their washing. And then what do? They take the clothes, dip it in the river, and bang it against the river rock. And then of course nothing is left at the end of it. So this is what this is the exercise. You're taking this poor word, one word you got from somewhere, jnanam, and you're banging it against this against the rock, which happens to be my head, and then you're telling me what is left here. You have taken away the knower, you have taken away the known, and you have taken away the means of knowledge, and any other meaning you could have taken away. And now you're saying bhava sadhana jnapti swarupa avabodha. What is left? Nothing is left. Zero. No, something is left. What is left? Please enlighten me. I'm really, really floundering here. What is left is the one who is frustrated, and the one who says zero is what is left. Is what is left. That is what is left. Oh, you mean me? I'm the one that's left? Yes. You alone are left. Oh, Jnanam means me? Yeah. Oh, Avabodha Swarupa I am? Yes. Jnaptihi I am? Yes. Knower is me, known is me, means of knowledge is me, but I am free of all of them. Bingo. You got it. Whether you got it or not, but at least now you understand it. So that I, which I, the one that is indweller of this body mind sense complex, in the form of just pure, simple shuddha chaitanyam. We can't call it pure awareness, so I stopped myself. Awareness is always pure, but in Sanskrit it sounds better, shuddha chaitanya, because it is still used like that. So this is Shuddha Chaitanya Swarupa. It is awareness unencumbered by name and form, awareness unencumbered by verbs and nouns, awareness unencumbered by activity or planning or agenda or results of action. No karma, no karma phala. Awareness that simply is. And that is satyam, and that is where that is rests. That awareness which is inextricably linked to that is you. That sentience is you. Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma. That is you. This is how you have to take it. You can't just, completely, just pluck jnanam off the tree and then look at it and then by itself. That does not work. That is what we mean by avabodha rupaha. That is why it is lakshana. It is lakshana. And it is that awareness alone that morphs into the knower without really becoming the knower. It is that same awareness that morphs into the known without becoming the known. And it is that same awareness that is the that functions as the means of knowledge when it is called to be take on the role as the means of knowledge. This is exactly what we talk about every day in the Dakshinamurti Stotram. Nana Chidra Ghatodara Sthita Maha Deepa Prabha Bhaswaram Jnanam Yasya Chakshura Dvara Bahispandate Janamiti Tameva Bhantam Anubhatyetad Samastam Jagat Tasmai Shri Guru Murtage Namaidam Shri Dakshina Murtaye, like that it goes. So, Nana Chidra Ghata Udara Sthita Mahadeepa Prabha Bhaswaram. So, imagine a big pot. In the stomach of the pot, there are many, many, many holes. There are many, many apertures. Let us say for the workings of this example that there are 5 apertures. And then what? That pot with a lot of holes, 5 holes, is covered on a Mahadeepa Prabha Bhaswaram, on a huge lamp, on a huge, maybe even a small fire there. And then over that fire, it is this pot with 5 holes is covered. And then what? You find that the light does not shut up. The light quickly finds its way out through the various apertures. And then you find that there are 5 beams of light. And then for the uninitiated, they will see 5 beams of light. And then what? The one that knows, let's say the mother is playing with the child. Oh, how did this one light become 5? The child is intrigued. The child is fascinated. And then the mother simply takes off that which covers the lamp, the pot that covers the lamp. Magic. Now it is all one again. Then you put in the one with the apertures. 5. Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradikarana dvara bahihi spandate. And this jnanam, this light of knowledge, the light of awareness, the light of consciousness, in fact, there is no off here. The light that is awareness, that is likened to awareness because it lights up everything. The light in the form of awareness escapes through the various sense organs, just like it escapes through the various, apertures in the stomach of the pot. And then what does it do? It just goes there, it goes here, everything brings back information. It is very active, it is doing, it is busy. The beams of light are busy. They go, they touch the wall, all these things they do. Similarly, the ears are busy, the eyes are busy, the tongue is busy, sense of touch and the sense of smell busy. They're bringing back information. All the time that light of awareness is unswerving and has not really become the doer, has not become the seer. It's just lending its presence to the aperture called seeing, sight, eyes. It blesses the eyes to see itself, not the seer. It blesses the object of sight, itself not the object of sight. It blesses the act of seeing through various means of knowledge, eyes, ears, etc., without actually becoming the means of knowledge. And then it blesses the one who says, Janami, Janami. The one who says, I am now the knower. I have found this out. I have heard this song. I have seen this movie. Whatever you want to say. Janami, Janami, Janami. The one who says, I have seen this. I have done this. I have looked at this. I know this. It blesses all of them. And then, and so therefore what? Without really becoming anything. And then we can imagine the same lamp with a covering of three apertures. Three what? Jnata, knower, jnanam, means of knowledge. And the third one, what is that? Object of knowledge. Object of knowledge. And so, therefore, how many lights are there? One. That is jnanam. And that is jnanam. And so, that, the everything, ghata, pata, the whole universe is illumined by this light of awareness. And so too is the person, you, who says, I know now, ghata. Ghatam janami. I know this ghata, if you say. Then what happens? That also this is that also you are aware. You are aware of being a knower. Before you were aware of not being a knower. Now you are a knower. So in any case, it's all knowledge, because your awareness of the awareness blesses your ignorance, brings it to light. And you say, wait, I can't stand it. And you rush to the Upanishads, you rush to a teacher, and you start studying. And then the ignorance is dismissed. And then you say, I know, I know, I know. And that also is blessed. That also it blesses. Just amazing. This is just so much fun here. And so I am the knower, and that janami aham, that aham that knows, it's blessed. Is blessed by that same consciousness, the vritti, because of which aham janami, that thought comes. That thought is also present as the very satyam of this vritti. That awareness is present. The object of knowledge is not away from consciousness. The means of knowledge is not away from consciousness. The knower is not away from consciousness. And when we say we negate the knower, we negate it cognitively, okay? Cognitive negation is what is being talked about. And so therefore it is not a negation in the sense of we don't acknowledge that there is a knower. All we say is that the knower known knowledge belongs to the realm of duality, as we are studying in the Saddarshanam. Dvandvani sarvani akhilaha triputyah. All the dualities and these tripods, these triads, knower, known, knowledge, seer, seen, sight, etc., etc., etc. All this is all belonging to the realm of a projected reality, and that reality is an as though reality, projected as it were by this very awareness, quote unquote, imposed upon that very awareness. Just like a movie is projected on a screen. The screen is Brahman here. The screen is not taking on the various movements of the motion picture. The hero may be running, the heroine may be running around trees, of course, because this is a Bollywood movie. But the screen is not running. If the screen also starts to run away, there would be no movie. And as though projection knower, and as though projection known, and an as though projection object, subject, means of knowledge. And the basis for all this is Satyam Brahma. Satyam means that which is nirvikara, which does not undergo any change. And so, what is that? So, this is nothing is outside of consciousness. And that's why we say tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Because it is self-lit, this awareness doesn't need to be pointed out that it is existent. Then all other things become aware. All other things shine. How do all other things exist? How do they exist? Mithya bhutena asti. Asti, asti, asti iti upalabhyate. The whole jagat is understood as is. Oh, but you just said there is one is. Exactly. Then how this is came? as though is, as though is. The content of the is belongs to Satyam, the name and form belongs to the Jagat. This is what is talked about in the Drig Drishya Viveka. So, there the writer of in the Drig Drishya Viveka says that there are 5 aspects to everything in the Jagat. So, Asti Bhati Priyam Nama Rupa Iti Panchakam. So, everything is a quintad of 5 components. Anything that is said to exist has 5 things. What is that? Asti. It enjoys isness, meaning it enjoys existence. So you cannot really negate. You don't say this is an invisible pot. It's not an invisible pot. It is there. And you say it is asti, pot asti. And then what? Then later on you say, but it is all clay. There is no, it's non-separate from clay. That is the reality. That is the satyam of the pot. That is the reality of the pot. And so that's how you say that the pot asti, and then the satyam of the pot is what? It is non-separate from clay. This is something so beautiful. So since it is non-separate from clay, what kind of asti it is? It is in as though asti. Pot asti, and then what else? The asti belongs to Sat. Asti belongs to Satyam Brahma. Then pot bhati. Bhati means comes to light, is an object of knowledge. And we just saw through this elaborate analogy of the beams of light coming through the pot, which is covering a lamp. What did we see? We saw that the object of knowledge is not separate from that awareness. And so it's an object of knowledge. Asti. And so here asti, and then bhati. It's an object of knowledge. And so asti is consciousness. Asti is again awareness from the standpoint of existence. Bhati is awareness from the standpoint of sentiency. Priyam, the third component that everything in the Jagat enjoys is Priyam, means it is an object of love. Now, up till now, I was with you. Now you have, now you have lost me. Why? Because obviously everything in the Jagat is not an object of love for me or for you or for anybody else. Otherwise, there would be no wars. Right now there is this long-standing war, and then there is all these kinds of problems, and then everybody is shooting somebody or the other is shooting somebody or the other. These things happen in the United States. Always there is some shootings, and then you mean to say everything is an object of love? Where are you coming from? Well, there is a fine print there. Everything is Priyam either by its proximity or by its distance. Some things are Priyam, some things are lovable because of their proximity. So all the things you love, you want them close. And when they are close, you say they are lovable. Certain other things like scorpions, cockroaches, and other, lions, tigers, they are lovable when they are far away. Their absence or their distance from you is lovable. You see how clever the Shruti is. So everything is lovable from the standpoint of your own ragadveshas. So whatever is an object of dvesha is priyam when it is far away, and whatever is an object of love is priyam when it is close by. This logic you cannot argue with the Shruti, okay? It is fascinating. And so asti bhati priyam, these are the 3 components that each and every object in the world enjoys, like even as we saw the pot. The pot asti, and then pot bhati. Pot is an object of knowledge. Pot shines as an object. It is available to be objectified. And then what? Pot priyam. So no pun intended here, okay? Pot literally means pot, okay? And so pot is lovable. And then if for some people, if pot, ghata, I shouldn't call it pot, I should say ghata. If ghata is unlovable, then if you keep the ghata far away, is it not lovable? Yes, because people say this all the time. Where did this monstrosity come from? Take it away. In a household, somebody buys some kind of object of art, let's say some kind of a pot. And then the other person who is sharing the household, the significant other, does not find it significantly appealing and then says, take it away. And then, of course, the other person who has spent a lot of money and time choosing this object of art, the other part of the significant other, the other half doesn't want to, he says, absolutely not. I will not take it away. I live here too. I have a right to put things on the mantelpiece, whatever I want, and you cannot stop me. And then what? and and then they try to the people in the household who don't like the object of art, train the cat to keep going on the mantelpiece in the hope that it will just knock it off, and then the peace can be maintained in the household. It was a simple accident. Oh, I know you really like this thing, but so sad it is gone. Oh, it was one of a kind. And inside the person is feeling very happy. Thank God it cannot be replicated. so, so asti bhati priyam, all objects enjoy. But then the author in the Drigdrishya, the two more are there, we'll discuss them later. The author in the Drigdrishya Viveka is quick to point out that these three do not belong to the object. Come on, you just said the objects enjoy these three qualities. Yeah, you can enjoy many things, but they don't all have to belong to you. You can go to a hotel and enjoy, but that hotel doesn't belong to you. You pay for it, you stay in a room, you go and eat something, you come out, you check out. So, but that doesn't belong to you. So these objects enjoy these, we can't call them properties, we cannot call them attributes, we cannot call them qualities. They enjoy these things, we can say, but they all belong to Brahman. They are all Swarupa, not of the things. They are not the intrinsic to those particular things. So Asti is not intrinsic to the pot, because in relation to the clay Asti, therefore pot Asti. So the is here goes to clay in the relative sense, and then pot is what? Pot is because, clay is cause. So the Asti has shifted to the cause. So Sarvasya Karanam is what? Jagat Karanam, Sarvasya Karanam Brahma. Brahma alone Asti. And then Brahman, lends its existence to everything else, as it were. Brahman alone is Jnanam, Bhati, and then everything else Anubhati. Brahman alone is Ananta, Priyam, and then it lends its Priyam to everything else. So then, what then if everything is is taken back by Brahman? Brahman is just taken away everything. What is left of the Jagat? Nama and Rupa. That is what constitutes the Jagat. Word and meaning. Nama, Rupa, Nama, Rupa, Nama, Rupa, Nama, Rupa, Rupa, Nama. Word and meaning. Name and form. Word and meaning. Name and form. Word and meaning. More words, more meanings, more names, more forms. That's all it is. Adyatrayam Brahma Rupam. So the first three belong to Brahman. Asti Bhati Priyam is the author's clever way of saying Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam in a way that is much more accessible. And then Asti Bhati Priyam Brahma Rupam. Adyatrayam, the first three out of this Panchaka are Brahma Rupam. And then Jagad Rupam Atodvayam. So the last two are Jagadrupam. What are you left holding? A bag of Nama Rupas. In fact, the bag itself is a Nama for which there is a Rupa. That is better. So everything is what? Mithya bhutena asti. Mithya means what? Adhishthanaat ananyat. It is not separate from the adhishthana. Ananyatvena asti. There is no astitvam of, ananya. There is no astitvam for the jagat. So jnanam alone is satyam, and then satyam alone is jnanam. And then, therefore, what? The jadyam for Brahman is not inert. That's the only reason for which the word jnanam is put along with Ananta and Satya. And more about this, there is a lot more to discuss. We'll see that next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.